In this video, we'll be taking a look at one NFL game happening on September 14, 2023, and providing you with a free team pick and total pick for this game, so 2 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on this one NFL game after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Minnesota Vikings versus Philadelphia Eagles. The Minnesota Vikings travel to Philadelphia on Thursday evening to take on the Eagles. The Vikings are coming off a 13-4 season in 2022 that ended in a first-round playoff loss to the Giants. The Eagles finished last season at 14-3 and took home the National Football Conference title before falling to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Expectations are high for both teams in the 2023 season. Last year, the Vikings came into Philadelphia at 1-0 following a huge win over the Green Bay Packers at home. This season, the Vikings traveled to Philadelphia after a disappointing 20-17 home loss to the Tampa Bay Bucks. The loss was made even more jarring by the final score. In 2022, the Vikings went a perfect 11-0 in one-score games, but in their first close game of this season, the Vikings were unable to pull out the victory. Offensively, the Vikings relied heavily on their passing game. They ran for a total of 41 yards in the game on 17 carries for a disappointing 2.4 yards per carry. The Vikings threw for 328 yards in the game, with quarterback Kirk Cousins going 3 of 4 for 344 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was also picked off once in the game. All-Pro wideout Justin Jefferson had 9 catches for 150 yards, while TJ Hawkinson, who was secured to a long-term deal just prior to the season, had 8 catches for 35 yards in the losing effort. The Vikings offense committed 3 turnovers in the game, all by Cousins. He fumbled twice and threw an interception in the game. Defensively, the Vikings allowed a total of just 242 yards, including 168 through the air. They held the Bucs to just 9 first downs in the game as well. The Vikings defense did not create any turnovers on the day, however, and were only able to record 1 sack and just 2 tackles for loss against a subpar Bucs offense. Cameron Bynum led the Vikings with 10 tackles in the game. Last season, the Vikings went into Philadelphia riding high after a Week 1 victory over rival Green Bay and then were smoked by the Eagles 24-7. This season, the team is licking its wounds following an upset loss to the Bucs. Minnesota will need to find some running lanes for new starting running back Alexander Mattison. Mattison replaced Dalvin Cook, now with the Jets, after serving as his primary backup for the last 2 seasons. He had 11 carries for just 34 yards against the Bucs on Sunday. In 2022, Minnesota finished 29th rushing the football but 4th through the air. However, if they are unable to get a ground game going, the Eagles and their ferocious front 4 on the defensive line will be able to pin their ears back against Cousins and pressure the veteran quarterback. On the defensive side of the ball, the Vikings will need to create some turnovers in Week 2 to pull off the upset of the Eagles on the road. The Vikings finished 31st in total defense in 2022. They were 21st against the run and an even worse 31st against the pass. They played better against the pass on Sunday, but the Bucs' passing attack is not nearly as lethal as the Eagles. It certainly wasn't easy for the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 1 at New England, but they were able to escape with a 25-20 win to open the season at 1-0. The Eagles scored the game's first 16 points thanks to 2 straight New England turnovers and held on for the win after stopping New England on downs inside the 30-yard line in the final minute. It wasn't the cleanest of victories for the defending National Football Conference champions, but that is to be expected as the team navigates this season with both a new offensive and defensive coordinator. Offensively, the Eagles gained a total of just 251 yards in the game. They finished with just 154 yards through the air and 97 on the ground against a stingy New England defense. Hurts went 2 of 3 through the air for just 170 yards and a touchdown. He was also sacked 3 times in the game. On the ground, Hurts ran the ball 9 times for just 37 yards. Running back Kenneth Gainwell led the way with 14 carries for 54 yards, while newcomer DeAndre Swift had just 1 one carry in the game for 3 yards. The team's starting wideouts, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, each had 7 catches in the game but were held to 79 and 47 yards respectively. Smith did have a touchdown grab in the win. On the defensive side of the ball, the Eagles forced 2 turnovers in the game. Cornerback Darius Slay returned a first-quarter interception 70 yards for a touchdown to give the Eagles a commanding lead. Overall, the Eagles' defense had 2 sacks and 5 tackles for loss while also pressuring the quarterback 10 times and recording 7 quarterback hits. New England did record 382 yards of total offense in the game but just 76 on the ground. The Eagles will be adjusting on the fly this season with new coordinators on both sides of the ball. It showed in Week 1 with the team only recording 18 points courtesy of its offense. Defensively, the Eagles also allowed nearly 400 yards of total offense. In 2022, the Eagles ranked first in football in total defense with the league's best secondary and deepest group of defensive linemen. The return of cornerback Darius Slay paid immediate dividends on Sunday with his pick-6 interception. The Eagles were 4th against the run in 2022, and that held true on Sunday as the Patriots failed to crack 100 yards on the ground. The Eagles were also 9th against the pass last year but definitely struggled to contain the Patriots' passing attack, which had been one of the worst in football in 2022. These two teams met in Week 2 a season ago with the Eagles taking a 24-7 win at home. This should be an interesting matchup. Minnesota generated 369 yards of offense in their Week 1 loss, with only 41 of those coming on the ground. To make matters worse, the Vikings also had a pretty sloppy game with 3 turnovers and 6 penalties for 45 yards. Minnesota has a better offense than that, and I think they'll turn it around here. As for Philadelphia, they had a tepid 251 total yards in their win over the Patriots. The Eagles went just 4 of 1-3 on third downs and had 17 first downs to the Patriots' 24. The Vikings' defeat to Tampa was the result of costly turnovers and not finishing off drives in the red zone with touchdowns. However, their passing game was highly effective and they finished with 369 yards through the air, which ranked 6th best across the league. Justin Jefferson had a big game with 9 catches and 150 receiving yards as he looks as hot as ever. Kirk Cousins will likely be looking for him all night and connecting with him against an Eagles pass defense that could be vulnerable after struggling against Mac Jones and the Patriots last Sunday, letting Jones throw for 316 yards and 3 touchdowns. That yardage allowed ranked 4th worst in the league for the first week, and Eagles cornerbacks should have a hard time containing both of Minnesota's explosive wide receivers. With Jefferson on one side and rookie Jordan Addison on the other, they have the potential to become the best duo in the NFL this season. If the offense can keep the ball moving and Cousins can limit his turnovers, then the Vikings have a chance to take care of things outright in this one. The Eagles started out hot against the Patriots to the tune of a 16-0 lead, but then found themselves on the verge of defeat on multiple occasions in the 4th quarter. New England failed to get the job done, but the Vikings possess a much bigger threat and could expose the Eagles. The Vikings will lean on their defense in an effort to avenge things and will look towards the Patriots' Week 1 game plan for some thoughts on how to slow Hurts and company. Turnovers aside, Cousins was slinging the ball on Sunday, and having Jefferson is a blessing any quarterback would desire. Given that Mac Jones and a thin Patriots receiving core put up 306 passing yards on Philadelphia, I can't see why Cousins and company can't do the same. I also don't see the Eagles' defense putting too much pressure on him either. The Eagles' offense will have problems with the Vikings' defense, who will keep Hurts in the pocket and get bodies on him early. While Philadelphia likely has the talent edge and should win this game, the number is too large here, and I like Minnesota to push Philadelphia all the way. Minnesota is going to have to limit their mistakes in Week 2, but I think the Vikings can post a good offensive day in a Week 2 victory. So the Minnesota Vikings to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Week 1 in the NFL saw an abundance of lower-scoring games as the trend of teams sitting out their starters for much of the preseason has slowed the offenses. Mistakes were frequent, and there was certainly a disconnect in many cases between quarterbacks and receivers. While the Vikings ran up over 300 yards passing in Week 1, they only generated 17 points in their loss to the Bucs. Meanwhile, the Eagles scored just 18 points offensively against New England and had a number of drives slowed in New England territory. Hurts and company are still getting used to a new system, and the Eagles are also dealing with a new running attack with Miles Sanders now in Carolina. When these two played just last season, there was a total of just 31 points scored against a total of 49.5. Week 1 showed that both of these offenses still have plenty of work to do to get up to snuff. I don't expect that to happen with the short week before this game. There will still be mistakes made and there will be turnovers in this game. Ultimately, it's the defenses who will shine in this one, and I really like the Vikings to step up the biggest on that front. Minnesota is banged up on the offensive line, and Philadelphia's starting running back has rib issues that are sure to slow him up a bit. With a quick turnaround following Week 1, I don't expect this game to be particularly high scoring as similar to Week 1. Scoring will once again be low in Week 2 for each of these teams. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.